Really worried about like cell phone towers. I'm thinking they cause like radiation or something, poisoning. This is not true.
Yeah, people are worried about 5G, right?
Don't worry about it.
No, not at all.
I mean, no. Like, let me put it this way. Like, if I had cell phones, if I had a helmet of cell phones,
Right?
strapped around my head and around my nuts, I would not
You're
worry.
good?
Children are proportionally more exposed to cell phone radiation than adults. This is the electrical field at 900 megahertz with two human models. One is a 34 years old male and the other is a 6 years old child. This imaging shows how the field penetrates the skull and the brain. The colors represent the intensity of the field from white to yellow, orange, red, purple, and black. The animation is from slices put together and slowed down by 5 billion times. I am an electrical engineer professor, and this is a simulation using microwave industry standard software used to assess exposure to cell phone radiations.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met a dude once who had ball cancer who's convinced that his cell phone was in his pocket, and that's what gave him ball cancer.
Nope.
No?
No.
Okay.
Did you know that rats that had been exposed to cell phone use when they were teenagers develop damage into their testes? Did you know that animals exposed prenatally have damage to their ovaries? Did you know that studies have linked cell phone use to erectile dysfunction in men? Do you know that a 2013 study found that men who carried switched on cell phones for longer periods of time in their pockets had a substantially increased risk of problems with functioning of their penis? Did you know that sperm damage is much more frequent in men with heavier cell phone use? What you are seeing right now is an animation of the radiation as it moves from the phone in the pocket into the testis and penis of a young man. And what this shows is that the highest absorption of microwave radiation is into the penis and the testis. For more information on this, please go to our website, ehtrust.org. Thank you.
Hey, buddy. Sorry. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's the cell phone is not. No.
Yeah, I didn't know this guy very well, but he was pretty convinced. Meanwhile, he kept the phone on the same side. He was one of those dudes that had the phone on the little hip thing, you know, little bracket on his hip. Kept his phone there, even after it killed one of his nuts in his eyes. He's like, well,
he really wants his phone. Well,
damage is done.
Your phone or your balls?
Yeah, he gave up. They got me.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Phones are not causing cancer.
So there's no concern whatsoever with the radiation that's caused by those things?
No, first of all, when people say radiation, there's just like they're conflating this, term from like nuclear, bombs, and like technically we are currently bathed in radiation right now.
This table has radiation, right?
Everything produces radiation. Everything's emitting photons all the time. So it's just a question of what wavelength, and if you have a very short wavelength or high frequency photon, that is capable of causing DNA damage. But we're talking about like ultraviolet and beyond. Your phone's not even close.
Microwave radiation from a cell phone could use up to 2.4 billion cycles a second at less than 1 watt of power. And I believed, as many scientists still do today, that because the power was so weak, the fact that the signal was the same frequency meant it had no biological effect. That belief, it's like a religious conviction among some physicists, is in fact not correct, and I'm going to explain to you why. Cell phones emit pulsed microwave radiation. It's the pulsed nature of the signal that is problematic. It has nothing to do with the power. The erratic, pulsed nature of the signal from a cell phone that allows it to go up and down and give you information may be why it's so problematic biologically. Here's an illustration of what that pulse signal looks like. The signal has frequency, remember, between actually 800 million to 2.4 billion cycles a second. It has amplitude, it has a wavelength, and it can have information content. And the complexity of the signal is quite important to its biological effect. I will later explain to you that one of the theories, and it is a theory, of why cell phone radiation can be so damaging is that it interferes with calcium efflux. Calcium is one of the most essential things we have in any living system. And the ability of cell phone radiation to interfere with calcium may be why different forms of cell phone-like radiation are being used today to treat people with cancer by enhancing the uptake of chemotherapy through something called electroporation. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of that. Perhaps we'll have time for some discussion. But understand that the biological effect of cell phone-like radiation is really not debated by those few scientists who understand its exquisite ability to affect cells at the level of the divalent calcium ion. What I want to show you right now is this 4-second phone call. During a 4-second phone call, look at the change in what we call power density. That's measured as volts per meter. Meter being an area, volts being a measure, again, of power. Volts per meter varies a great deal in 4 seconds. You will see that the worst time to hold a phone right next to your head is when you immediately answer it. When you first answer it, it goes to max power. That's why I use something like this. Gentlemen, do not keep a cell phone in your pocket when it's turned on, except on airplane mode. When it's turned off, you can do whatever you want. In airplane mode, you can do whatever you want. But the reality is, there's a warning inside that phone.
So, yeah. And then the thing that really causes problems in, let's say, a nuclear explosion are alpha particles. So, like, basically helium nuclei. So those things they're like tiny cannonballs. So those will rip right through you. It's like if you got shot with tiny cannonballs, bad things would happen. So that's also called radiation, but it's really particles. So you don't want to be bombarded with high-speed helium nuclei. That's going to be bad.
How's that happen?
Well, that happens in a nuclear explosion.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, avoid those.
Yeah, that's bad.
But cell phones are okay.
Yeah, cell phones are not emitting particles. So if it's like, is my cell phone going to cause brain cancer? I'm like, because of radiation. I'm like, do you mean photons or particles? And it's like, it's not emitting particles, so we can just put that aside. Don't worry about the particles. Then the photons that's emitting, the most they can do is slightly warm up your ear. And only by a tiny amount. It's like okay, if you had an ear warmer that was very mild, that's your phone. That's all. It's emitting photons at a frequency that is a frequency that is not going to cause DNA damage.
So,
thank you, Chairman Bukes and members of the committee. Good evening. I'm here to explain in 7 minutes how radiation from cell phones and cell phone towers, like all forms of electromagnetic radiation, penetrate into the body, may damage cells, and potentially cause disease. But first, let me preface my talk by stating that I'm a practicing board-certified diagnostic radiologist who, like all radiologists, trained in radiation physics. I spend my days interpreting the images created by exposing the human body to different forms of radiation. In healthcare, radiation can be used to treat and diagnose disease like cancer that can also cause disease and is therefore tightly regulated. Following are some pictures and videos I'd like to present to make a point. This is a chest x-ray. We are able to obtain this image because x-rays produced by an x-ray machine penetrate through the patient's chest and expose a plate on the opposite side of the body. X-rays are a form of electromagnetic radiation. In this image, you can see the finger glowing red when it is placed on a bright light. This is because light, like X-rays, can penetrate through the body's tissues. Light is a form of electromagnetic radiation. By placing a body in a strong magnetic field and subjecting it to pulses of radiofrequency radiation, we were able to get images like this one from an MRI of the shoulder. This technology is possible because both magnetic fields and radiofrequency radiation, just like light and X-rays, penetrate through the body and affect atoms and molecules. Now, this graphic depicts the continuum of frequencies that comprise the electromagnetic spectrum, and I placed the three images in the respective frequency bands. Microwaves and millimeter waves produced by the 5G network are demarcated by this sun. These frequencies also penetrate into the body. As you know, there are three bandwidths of frequency in the 5G network. The highest frequency band includes frequencies between 20 and 40 gigahertz. A meter recently became available to the public for the high frequency band detection. I'm going to show you a couple of brief videos demonstrating the use of this detector. I took these videos with my cell phone in airplane mode, and there were no other sources of 5G radiation and no Wi-Fi in the house. Now, if you look at this first video, which was taken in an interior room, you'll see the green indicator light is on, and the display reads less than 5 microwatts per meter squared. This is background. In this next video, you can see outside the front door of this home, there is a pole-mounted 5G small cell across the street. If I take out the detector and I turn on the volume, you can see that the radiation emitted from this small cell is erratic but continuous. The maximum tower density coming from the antenna on this front stoop is over 10,000 microwatts per meter squared. In this final video, you see radiation exposure one would receive in a third-floor bedroom with the window closed while lying on the bed. You can still hear the detectors picking up radiation, and while lying in bed, the person is still receiving a dose or power density of over 700 microwatts per meter squared. All forms of electromagnetic radiation penetrate the body. Some frequencies penetrate deeper than others. Unfortunately for all of us, and I do mean all of us, government regulations are still based on research performed by Hermann Schwann, a distinguished scientist who in 1953 said that heating effects should be used to determine safety limits for microwave radiation. I remember my father telling me when he was in college in 1953, he had heard over the cafeteria loudspeaker that Watson and Crick had discovered DNA. Yes, we've learned a lot since 1953. One of those things is that non-thermal effects occur in the body from non-ionizing radiation. Scientific studies have repeatedly shown that exposure to radiofrequency radiation can cause individual cells in the body to become stressed. The longer a cell is stressed, the greater the likelihood it may malfunction. You might think that the term stress implies a manageable state and that it's not a big deal, but let me clarify. Stress weakens the body's tissues. Just as stress can cause a bridge to collapse, stress can cause a bone to fracture, an ulcer to develop, or an organ system to fail. When cells undergo stress, unfortunate things can happen. Membranes which protect the cell and control the cell's internal environment can become damaged, causing the cell to lose its ability to function and put the cell's life at risk. The cell's mitochondria can become damaged and produce less energy and run less efficiently. If one continues to eat the same amount, but his or her cells can't use that food efficiently, they will gain weight and become obese. Proteins in a stressed cell can become damaged and denatured. This may sound esoteric, but consider that many diseases now common in our population, like Alzheimer's disease, Lewy body dementia, and amyloidosis, are all associated with protein denaturation. And importantly, when the cell is stressed, its DNA can become damaged, which can lead to mutations and possibly cancer. The impact of malfunctioning cells on one's clinical health status is determined by which cells and organs are damaged. If the thyroid gland is damaged, one will have clinical manifestations from abnormal thyroid function, including increased risk for cardiac arrhythmia. If radiation exposure affects white blood cells, it can cause immune dysfunction, making one more susceptible to disease. If the brain is affected, one may experience confusion, memory loss, ringing in the ears, vertigo, insomnia, and other symptoms. If a man's testicles are exposed, testosterone levels can drop, and sperm can become damaged, lose motility, and experience DNA fragmentation. Yes, there are many, many more examples of health effects associated with exposure to radiofrequency radiation described in the literature, and these conditions are becoming more and more prevalent as technology becomes more pervasive. One final point. I've heard it mentioned that the high-frequency band of 5G doesn't or shouldn't penetrate more than a few millimeters into the skin. Whether or not this is true, the thyroid gland is often only a few millimeters deep to the skin surface, and so are the testicles. Interfering with the function of these glands can cause systemic endocrine dysfunction, and in addition, many important cells, including red blood cells and immune cells, are just below the skin surface. Radiation doesn't need to go deep to cause damage. Thank you.
So don't worry about it.
What concerns people is
sleep
the
easy
unknown.
at night. Don't worry about your phone. It's fine.
David Icke does not believe you. He's doing backflips right now. You fucking chill. So what concerns people is the unknown, right? They hear about 5G and then they hear about radiation and they're like, wait a minute, is this safe? What are we doing? Are we just ruining everything? Are we ruining?
No, it's fine.
Fine.
Totally
No
fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now I feel good about my 5G phone.
If you had a helmet that was made of cell phones, you would be fine.